We are in a time where we need to save the planet.
Dakar is the perfect laboratory for the automotive industry to go in new directions.
We go to Dakar to win, so we have to be very serious about it. We're not just demonstrating technology, but we're using technology to actually try and go and win Dakar.
To win the Dakar with our Audi, this is the target, so it's also really a big and really interesting challenge.
The toughest race in the world is writing history again.
Dakar dominates my whole year, basically.
It's the most miserable and fun 2 weeks of your life.
Just look at Sebastian Loeb, he's hunting down Nasser Al-Attiyah.
It's an addiction because I feel like comfort with adrenaline.
We've been creating this dream all together, racing Dakar.
To win Dakar back-to-back would for sure be something really special.
As the route has changed on the Dakar Rally, so has the technology powering the vehicles on this motorsport marathon. Dakar is looking to a cleaner, greener future, aiming for zero emissions by 2030.
I think it's very difficult to look quite far in the future, but in the short-term future, we know we have to start to make the steps already and plan, especially on the fuel side. There must be some changes also for the environmental image of the sport. We have to move over to economic fuels and sustainable fuels, where we see already in the four-wheeler business that they start already with projects like nitrogen and electric energy.
Two big Dakar developments in the car category have been pioneered by Audi and the BRX team. For BRX, with star driver Sebastian Loeb, it's a car powered by biofuel. Audi, featuring Stefan Peter Hansel, Carlos Sainz and Matthias Ekstrom in its stellar lineup, is the first manufacturer to use an electric drivetrain in combination with an efficient energy converter.
I think sustainable power, no matter in what direction, is super important for the future. We have to go that way. We have to go that way in different ways. The Audi way, which we do, is one way, that's for sure.
We run the program for Aston Martin with victories at Le Mans and the World Championship. We're running the BRX team here behind me in Rally Raid and in the World Championship. We managed to finish 5th on our first Dakar, which is the best result for any team on the first attempt, and managed to finish 2nd and 4th this year. So the plan is definitely to go a step higher next year.
The interest about this car, about the technology, is super high. It was really distributed in a nice way. So with this new technology, it was something which spread quickly around the world. And I think that was really good because it shows that there is a new trend going, the new way how you can attack the Dakar.
The Audi RS-Q e-tron won 4 stages on its Dakar debut in 2022 and then went on to win its first desert rally in the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge 2 months later.
We know that our concept is probably the best one for the cross-country. Now we need to win a really important race like the Dakar, but we really trust in our concept.
Now we are entering the second year, so we try to simplify things. But last year when we entered this program, basically we have to learn a new thing. We have to manage computers inside the cockpit. We have a central display with all the commands of the car, which are definitely 4 times, 5 times more than a traditional thermic car. You really have to learn which button is doing what, when you need to push them, and so it's really a dialogue between driver, co-driver and car.
You can play more in the dunes, you can surf in the dunes. It's probably more easy than the normal car because you have no gearbox and it's really smooth to drive. And for me, I'm not a really aggressive driver, So this kind of engine is really good for my style. It was not really complicated to change from the normal car to our Audi.
You can really adjust the car like you wish during testing, and then during the races it's super easy to change settings if we need.
It will be really nice to show that this technology is really good also for long distance, because at the end The target of this concept is to use less fuel than the other car. We use between 30 and 40% less fuel than the normal car like Sébastien Loeb or Nasser Al-Attiyah. This is the target. So it's also really a big challenge and really interesting challenge.
Engineers at ProDrive know the feeling. They designed and built the BRX Hunter, which took Sébastien Loeb to second place in the 2022 World Rally Raid Championship behind Nasser Al-Attiyah's Toyota Hilux. Their research and rally experience took them in another direction, also with an energy converter, but using a Ford 3.5 V6 twin-turbo.
If we take Dakar as an example, it has to be a very reliable power unit that makes a very specific power output, which is defined by the FIA. And we have to survive the rigors of the desert, so that's high temperature, dust, very high transient conditions on a big truck with very big wheels that has to jump over and get at extreme angles and has to cope in 40-degree temperatures. The only technology we could find which gave us the correct amount of energy for the correct amount of time was a bio-based fuel.
In particular, there's one type of technology that we were using, which is called an ethanol to gasoline technology. And what that's doing is it's taking agricultural waste and it's converting it into an ethanol. It's a very simple fermentation process, the same way that you make your vodka. What you then do is you take that ethanol and you put it through another very complex process. What we're getting out at the end of it is a gasoline that looks and behaves very much like a normal road fuel. The fuels that we've been producing are saving approximately 80% of the equivalent greenhouse gases that the fossil fuel would otherwise produce in their operation. So if we look on the Dakar, for instance, I think we saved somewhere in the region of about 27 tons of CO2 by using sustainable fuels. That's a huge amount of CO2 that we've not released out the atmosphere.
The drivers, they obviously knew they were running a different fuel and a sustainable fuel, but once they put a helmet on, it doesn't matter. They just drive it.
To drive with biofuel, I think, is an important step. The car is still working really well with that, so I think it's a good initiative. What I just hope is that we will have the possibility to fight with the Audi, because with the new type of cars that they use, they have a big advantage in the dunes.
We have the potential to have different cars on the same day. This is why it's so much fun to drive, because you always have the perfect car for the ground you are facing.
Bike is way more difficult because with the bike we have less fuel capacity. That means we also need more refuelings over the day, and this is a big logistical challenge to supply the right amount of sustainable special fuels at these places at the time where it's needed. This for sure is a long-time project, and the factory teams will be able to do the development to make the final scenario, start with some test samples, and then step by step roll out the technique also for privateers.
The pace of change in motorsport is unrelenting. Speed, power, traction and reliability remain essential keys to success. But Dakar engineers also understand that a carbon-neutral future has raised the stakes for renewed innovation and inspiration to keep the event on track.
Dakar is a great fit for doing this kind of project because it's one of the only race series where there's the freedom to do this kind of project.
The regulation is quite open. You have an idea if you want to do hydrogen, if you want to do an electric car, it's all easy. You can do whatever you want. And that is the good thing for the Dakar.